When did a game of hide and seek go horribly wrong? I thought I would be clever and hide underneath an abandoned vehicle in somebody's yard. It was covered with hornets' nests underneath. I was the first one found. Got 63 stings. The fuckers chased me for a block. Just like in a cartoon. Cloud of bees behind me. We had just recently moved into our neighborhood and my sister, 5 at the time, was playing hide and seek with a neighbor kid. Long story short, kid couldn't find her. All the adults started going around the neighborhood shouting for her. It was getting dark. After a while my parents called the police. Someone eventually found her and she said she did hear everyone looking for her but she was playing hide and seek so she wasn't coming out until someone found her. Parents called the police back and told them not to come. That's how we met most of our neighbors. Edit. Since lots of people are asking. She apparently wasn't even hiding well. She told me she was in front of the neighbor's garage. Not even in or behind. She is much smarter these days. But still very stubborn. Before I was born my brothers and sisters played a game at my aunt's house down by the river. My eldest brother decided to hang by his fingertips inside the water well. Meanwhile and unknowing of that fact my other brother thought about hiding up inside the little steeple cover of the well and to get to it needed to slam shut the well cover. LMAO. Slam. Blood-curdling scream. Splash. Cries for help. Between fits of unadulterated anger interspersed with disbelief and worry my aunt, grandmother and mom managed to get him pulled up, which wasn't easy because with all of those smashed fingers of his he couldn't hold tight to a rope. I was a waiter and some kids from a party I was serving played hide and seek and about 5 minutes later they had to come back because the chef came to cook. Teppanyaki restaurant. There were 2 guardians looking after the children and one of them realized that a child was missing and freaked out. It was like a mini manhunt in the restaurant. This was all done by the guardians since they didn't tell anyone. I just overheard them and decided to watch what they would do. After about 5-10 minutes of searching the girl comes out crying they forgot about me. She was in the bathroom the whole time and she was quiet when they called for her because she thought they were still playing. When I was a kid my 2 older brothers would always make me be it. One time they both hid in a trunk full of clothes. I was probably 6 or 7. So I decided to lock them in. Only I didn't have a key. They panicked like crazy and were having trouble breathing. The babysitter was going crazy. I think she broke the lock eventually. But it was some scary moments. My grandmother lost her sister to a military latching trunk. She was 6 I think. And suffocated. Only to be found many hours later. From the great British actor David Niven's Wikipedia page. While on leave in 1940, Niven met Primula Primi Susan Rollo, the 18th of February 1918. London saw the 21st of May 1946. Primi died at the age of 28. Only 6 weeks after the family moved to the US. She fractured her skull in an accidental fall in the Beverly Hills, California home of Tyrone Power. While playing a game of hide and seek. She had walked through a door believing it to be a closet. But instead, it led to a stone staircase to the basement. So when I was a wee kid and a scout, we played hide and seek in the dark. We usually played something like this every time the last 15 minutes. It was a medium-sized cabin. Essentially, there was a lot of places to hide. Lots of stuff just lying around. For some reason there was a coffin there and nobody, as far as I know, ever hid inside. Because it's a coffin. And that's just creepy. But my smartest hid inside it. And lucky for me, another kid also looking for a hiding spot saw me. He decided to lock the coffin I was inside of. Yeah. I had claustrophobia for quite a while afterwards. Peas. I have an intense hatred of the name Marcus because that was the bastard's name. Was playing hide and seek with 2 friends when we were like 10. Me and my friend found a fantastic spot and hid there together and our other friend couldn't find us. Ended up going home to get his mom so she could tell us to come out and yell at us for hiding too well. Yes. This actually did happen. If I were that kid in that situation and I really couldn't find them whatsoever and I was all alone and even after a longer while they didn't come out, I get why he did that. I'd start to feel excluded and would probably get scared that something happened to you too. I'd be so lost that I wouldn't know what else to do other than running home. He probably didn't want you to get yelled at, and the mom was probably just stressed out too cause she thought there might be 2 kids missing. Also, she might have gotten upset about the fact that you left him alone for so long. All depends on for how long he was searching, of course. When I was about 8 years old, my little brother, who was 6 at the time, and my little sister, who was 3 years old, were playing some type of easy hide and seek in my grandparents' backyard. Well, there are woods behind their house. Our sister, being a defiant toddler, ran into the woods and my brother just saw her run in and ran in after her. They were in the woods for hours because she ran in so deep and they both got turned around. Our brother found a hunting post, climbed up it into the tree, and found a way out. They then knocked on doors, covered in dirt and scratched up, until someone answered. A woman gave them a ride back because our brother was able to point out landmarks to get back to our grandmother's house. They got back while my mother was on the phone with the cops. They were discussing a helicopter to find them. We were this close to a search party. They walked a collective 2 to 3 miles. They could have gone miles deeper into rural woods if they didn't keep going one way and find the post. So yeah, watch your damn kids, lol. Telling them don't go into the woods does not guarantee they will listen. Edit. I misused Amber Alert. But we were very close to a search party. Also, the police were called and still showed up to give the kids a talking to. Nothing was learned and we were repeatedly locked outside on nice days with woods behind our own house. My grandma was Jewish and she was playing hide and seek with her brother as kids. She hid well and was very happy. The thrill of excitement from finding the perfect spot. Nobody would find her there. Then, out of nowhere, a group of narciss old ears break in the house. My grandma told me this story and at this point, she starts crying. She told me she couldn't see anything, but she could hear the screams of her own family as they were carried away. Her mother, her father, her brother and her sister were all taken that and she never saw them again. She was left alone in this world. It had truly traumatized her to this day and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. I was and still am horrified at this story. She was lucky to be alive. Hope you're at peace now, Grandma. Rest in peace. I have to wonder if, being that she was so young, this game of hide and seek might have been how her parents rehearsed hiding the children. When the time came. It's easier to get a little kid to commit to a game of hide and seek than it is to get a kid to hide for an actual emergency. I managed to send an entire store on lockdown and freak out my entire family when I was maybe 5 years old. My family was at Lowe's, and I decided to take my Kirby plushie with me and hide behind some shelves or boxes and see if they could find me. Turns out they couldn't, and ran around outside because they thought someone kidnapped me. The entire store went on lockdown for a missing child. All the while I'm sitting, giggling and waiting for them to find me. I eventually came out of hiding after my mom passed me and got in huge trouble afterwards. I never hid in public again as a kid. I was a member of my university's hide and seek club, and at one point the police were called, however we had proper signage up. So the police warned us to stay out of a part of the building as they were looking for a suspicious person. What neither the police nor we had figured out yet was that we were the suspicious figure that had been reported. My 10-year birthday party. My friends and I played hide and seek Caterpillar edition. We put sleeping bags over us and wandered around in the dark to find each other. One of my friends lunges to tag another friend. Fell and went top head straight into her face. Knocked out 2 adult teeth and broke her nose. Blood everywhere. She had to go and get surgery. Her parents threatened to sue my parents but eventually got over it. She was never allowed to come to my house again. Parents threatened to sue. For fuck's sake. Kids do dumb shit, including their own. Things happen. Ugh. This one is the winner for me because of the other parents' stupidity. In the US, at least, some health insurances will insist the injured party sue for homeowners insurance to cover the injury. And the health insurance will refuse to cover anything even if the lawsuit is unsuccessful. Was playing hide and seek by a river while going camping. It was kind of dark out. Went to hide in some bushes near the river. Went to step into the bushes and it was steep drop off into the river. Got completely soaked above my knees. It took them a while to find me though. That could have ended a hell of a lot worse than soaked legs. Yeah. Could have had a soaked crotch and had to deal with everyone laughing and pointing at how you peed yourself. My friend hid in the drawer under my bed. I found her and pulled the drawer out. When she moved forward to climb out, it tipped and the edge landed on my big toe. Fast forward 6 hours and I'm in A&E having a hot needle jammed into my toenail to release the pressure of the blood that had built up behind the nail. Yes, it did spurt blood. But my toenail fell off a week or two later. Which was pretty cool. We were about 8 years old. One of my friends hid under the bed. So his brother started jumping on the bed. He stuck his hand up to brace the bedding above him. And the next time his brother jumped it snapped his arm. While shopping with my 5-year-old daughter, she ducked into a circular clothing rack. Unbeknownst to me, she had been standing right next to me. So I realized quickly she was missing. Began freaking out and screaming her name. They locked the store down and began searching everywhere. Only when they began paging her over the loudspeaker and asking other shoppers to be on the lookout did she pop out. Upon being reunited with me she said, "Hi mommy. Oh, I forgot to tell you I was playing hide and go seek. I hid in a tree in the park from my dad. Big park. Right in the city. I was up there for about 2 hours. He passed under me several times getting increasingly panicked and I was like I'm not falling for that one. Eventually I got bored and got down. Apparently right before he called the police. It wasn't horrible for me. But he was really terrified. Children would see and hear their parents screaming for them to come back and run because a tsunami's coming and the child would be like tee I'm not falling for that. And proceed to drown along with its parent who died terrified and guilty for not rescuing their baby. A bunch of my friends and I were playing in their apartment building one time and they literally all forgot about me and went to go get food without me. Spent like 2 hours hiding after the game was already over. Even though I technically won, it still felt pretty shitty to be forgotten. I was about 5 years old playing hide and seek with my brother and sister. It was supposed to be inside only. But apparently I was a little cheat. I snuck outside and climbed into the backseat of my mom's car and fell asleep. Hours later my parents are freaking out. Calling people to help look for me and screaming my name. I wake up and hear my name being called. Panic scrambling out of the car and slam the door on my finger. It's still stuck bent at a weird angle to this day. When my dad started playing 13 years ago, the game is still going on. Did you check under the bed? How could I miss the bed? Now that's the #1 rule of hide and seek. Wait, let me check. I just checked under all beds in the house but I didn't find him. There was a man under my mom's bed though, but he wasn't my dad. I didn't know my mom liked to play hide and seek too. TLDR at the bottom. I was about 7 years old. And we were playing in the dark at grandma's house. I don't remember the exact reason. But I popped into the game a little late. And was waiting on my brother or cousin to come rushing around the house. And I was set to beat them back to base. As they came running around the corner, I turned and started to run. I didn't pay attention to where I was. And tripped on the wire supporting a newly planted tree. I fell to the ground. My wrist landing on a rock. I didn't know exactly what happened. But I do know it hurt. Badly. Run to mom and dad. Bawling my eyes out. Dad took one look and knew what happened. So off to the hospital we went. Into the emergency room. And dad tells the admissions nurse, "We need to see a doctor. My son broke his arm." She got a little huffy. And says back something along the lines of, "What makes you so sure?" Then dad lifted the damp towel that was covering my arm. And it was immediately apparent. She just started repeating, "Oh my god." And dad had to calm her down so I wouldn't start freaking out again. I don't know how much more force it would have taken. But it was a radial fracture of the 2 bones in my forearm. Nearly compounded. I still remember seeing a couple bumps on my arm. but not much else. TLDR. Tripped on a tree. Broke my arm. Made the admitting nurse freak out. I was 2 at time and me and my 4-year-old brother decided to include my 4-month-old sister in the game of hide and seek. Me being very smart decided to hide in the bathroom with my baby sister, and I thought it was a good idea to put her in the toilet since she was small enough to fit in there. After a minute or two I hear a splash. I ran over to the toilets to see my sister's head in the water. I thought she was just playing, so I left her there. Then my brother came and saw her. He quickly pulled her out before she drowned. We never played again. Not exactly horribly wrong if you ask me. But when I was younger, like about 3 or so, my great grandmother was watching my younger brother, some cousins, and I. She decided hide and seek was a great idea since we all weren't able to open any doors without her help. Well, I found this perfect spot tucked between the wall and a couch with a small coffee table between the arm of the couch and that wall. So I got under the coffee table. Well, I got too comfy and I fell asleep. Back then I was a hard sleeper. My great grandma gets so worried that I somehow got out of the house when I wouldn't respond to her calling out for me. She called the cops. The fire department shows up first and start asking her questions about what happened and all the basics. They decided to do a quick sweep of the house and make sure. Well, one of the firemen seen a little shadow move under the coffee table, me, and asked if my grams had a dog. She didn't. So the search was over. And my grams never wanted to play hide and seek again with me. And that, kids, is how I earned the nickname Heidi. Recycling bins in our local district used to simply be 80-liter containers. They looked like baby baths. My little sister was somewhat hit and miss with the game. She was either found first within the first 30 seconds of the game, or everyone would be out looking for her for most of the afternoon. She hatched a plan to hide under one of these containers that had been lying in the yard for weeks and figured no one would have a chance to find her. The bins were black plastic, so no way to see inside of them. Suddenly, as I started to search, she jumped out screaming in pain. Little did she know that a small family of bees were waiting for her. Me and 2 others were playing hide and seek. Me and the other guy was going to hide. He climbed up a tree which I helped him up to, and then I went to go hide myself. As I was running away I heard a wag and I turned around to see that he had fallen out the tree and slid his back on the bark. Me and the guy who was seeking rushed over to help him. I think I have a recording, so I'll have to find it. My sister and mother were playing hide and seek when I was young. Sister was about 5, I was about 11. She grabbed me and said she couldn't find mum anywhere, and asked that I go with her into the bathroom to find her. Handing me a torch, I rounded one corner before entering the shower room. Cue my mum hiding in the shower as I shine the torch onto her face and she loudly shhhhs me and I freak the hell out and run out. I haven't participated in hide and seek since. Edit. Torch meaning flashlight. Sorry. Aussie lingo. When I was 5, my friends and I were playing hide and seek in the woods behind our houses. I shouted and ran home to change. Of course I never told my friends why I left, they just never found me and thought I was still hiding. I saw them the next day and they were amazed by my hiding abilities. But really I was just at home watching Ninja Turtles in a clean pair of underwear. If you ask me, when they started a new round because everyone had been found, except me, at my birthday party,